The largest plot twist in all of Star Wars was the rise of the Empire and the fall of the Republic. Order 66, Operation Nightfall, and the entire Clone War was orchestrated by Darth Sidious, who was working undercover as Chancellor Palpatine. But why was his plan to eliminate the Jedi so successful, especially when you consider all the ways it could have, and almost did, fail?
In my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
Even the clones, the Jedi, and some of the Separatists were aware that something about the war was fishy. But before any of them could figure it out, the order had been given.
Execute Order 66.
First, we need to take a look at Palpatine's plan from before the Clone War began. The blockade of Naboo, as well as the subsequent invasion, were all step one in the death of the Republic. Chancellor Valorum was made to look weak and powerless as the Senate endlessly debated, and Naboo suffered as a result of waiting for their decision. Behind the scenes, Palpatine ordered the Trade Federation to invade Naboo, and that was the first domino in a chain of events that would catapult him becoming Chancellor of the Republic. With the discovery and presumed death of Darth Maul, the Jedi realized that there was another Sith Lord out there in the galaxy.
Always two there are. No more, no less.
But unfortunately, they were unable to outright detect him. Palpatine's Force abilities were too strong and were able to cloud the minds of even the most powerful Jedi.
My brain is too powerful for that.
And soon, those same Jedi would even be more distracted by a war that turned them from keepers of the peace into soldiers. The creation of the Clone Army was another piece of the plan that was set in motion a decade before the war started. And as the war dragged on, Palpatine received more and more political power to take on the Separatist crisis he created. By aiding both the Separatists and the Republic in building armies and fostering suspicions between each side, the war seemed to have no end in sight. Palpatine often maneuvered both sides into battles that would continue to deadlock the entire war into a stalemate. Meanwhile, all that power Palpatine had been gathering set the stage for his rise as Emperor, but not before Order 66 was issued. The grand plan of Order 66 was almost revealed due to the actions of one loyal clone trooper during the final year of the war. After 501st member Top shot and killed Jedi Master Tiplar, he was taken back to Kamino for evaluation. Chancellor Palpatine was notified of this, and he dispatched his fellow Sith Lord, Count Dooku, to make sure that Top never made it to Kamino. While Top barely survived Dooku's attempts to capture him, he later passed away from his injuries, but not before Fives removed a malfunctioning inhibitor chip from his brain. Fives then launched his own investigation into the chip, and after finding out the truth, he confronted Chancellor Palpatine face to face. However, Fives was drugged before his meeting with the Sith Lord, and Palpatine was able to make it seem like the ARC Trooper had attacked him. Palpatine then ordered a manhunt in order to remove the threat of Fives revealing his plan. While Fives managed to speak to both Anakin and Captain Rex about what he'd found, he was still suffering the effects of being drugged, which made his words incoherent.
Proof of it! I can prove that everything that I know is true beyond a shadow of a doubt!
And he was shot before he could fully explain the conspiracy. Now that the Republic was closer to discovering Darth Sidious, the final stages of his plan had been put in motion. Let's not forget that the war also served as more time for Palpatine to groom Anakin into turning against the Jedi and pledging loyalty to him. Several events during the war shook Anakin's confidence and trust in the Jedi, and made his fall to the dark side so much more believable. By rescuing the Chancellor from General Grievous and executing Count Dooku, Anakin created his own open spot as Palpatine's new apprentice. After manipulating Anakin's dreams to make him fear losing Padme, Palpatine began to reveal his own connection to the dark side with a benevolent twist of being able to save people from dying. Anakin chose to defend Palpatine against Master Windu to protect that knowledge about immortality, which was the final act in him becoming Darth Vader. Soon, the Jedi were framed for attempting to arrest the Chancellor, and with the best warriors spread out all over the galaxy, Palpatine's final ace could be played. Before we reveal that ace, first push the like button and mind trick the subscribe button to show you more videos like this one. Order 66 was one of the 150 contingency orders for the Grand Army of the Republic. While only 6 orders are known, all of them are designed to be carried out under various circumstances during the Clone War. Order 66 reads, in the event of Jedi officers acting against the interests of the Republic, and after receiving specific orders verified as coming directly from the Supreme Commander or Chancellor, GAR commanders will remove those officers by lethal force, and command of the GAR will revert to the Supreme Commander or Chancellor until a new command structure is established. Clone Contingency Order 66. When Order 66 was issued, suddenly thousands of Jedi were slain and the Jedi Temple was ransacked. Palpatine's plan for the Jedi's fall had, at long last, come to fruition, and the Sith finally could bring their version of peace to the galaxy. So, why did this work? Well, for starters, the Jedi repeatedly had the future clouded by the dark side and the war. Their senses were honed on the enemy they knew, with that enemy being the battle droids of the Separatist army. Additionally, after so many years of war, the Jedi had come to trust their clone commanders, and the clones had come to respect the Jedi. However, the inhibitor chips would override that respect and force even the most strong-willed clone to fire on his Jedi commander. As the reading goes, Order 66 was just that. An order that the clones were forced to memorize along with dozens of others just like it. They were bred to follow orders, especially orders from the Supreme Chancellor.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
The inhibitor chips suppress any rebellion. There was nothing malicious or dangerous about the Order 66, so there was no danger for the Jedi to detect before it happened. Even the Jedi that did sense a disturbance in the Force were more used to fighting mindless battle droids rather than the trained soldiers at their side. The ability to survive the sudden clone attack would have taken years of drills to develop. Also, the clone's genetic template was chosen specifically with Order 66 in mind. Jango Fett was a Mandalorian warrior who was discovered by Count Dooku after he had slain 6 Jedi with only his hands, feet, and armored body. Fett knew how to kill Jedi, which was why he was made the progenitor of the clone army. The clone troopers would inherit that skill as well. Finally, Order 66 succeeded because the Jedi forces were spread too thin. Palpatine made the Separatist army attack on the outskirts of known space, which led to Jedi and their troops being assigned to those outer rim regions. Not only did this leave the Jedi Temple only populated by younglings, Padawans, and a small number of defenders, but it also caused the Jedi on over 200 worlds to be unable to support one another when the order was given. With the Jedi defeated and the Republic turning into the Galactic Empire, Darth Vader ended the war by destroying the Separatist Council and shut down the droid armies. The war was over, and Emperor Palpatine's final plan was a massive success. Order 66 worked because it was a plan that no one would ever expect. Palpatine managed to pull the wool over everyone's eyes for decades, subtly manipulating events to make sure that everything worked out in his favor. When you look at the entire plan as well as the various ways it could have been exposed or gone wrong, one can't help but admire Palpatine's ambition as he played the decade-long game of galactic politics, a game he had rigged to win from the start. But just as all ambitions that are used for evil, they eventually fall. And even though the galaxy was forced to bear the tyranny of his victory for years to come, that tyranny was ended, ironically, with the help of several survivors of Order 66. Be sure to check out how a better plan could have massively improved the sequel trilogy next.